Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Hope you're all doing good. We got World Cup coming up, so hopefully you guys bought your tickets before they ran out, and you're going to get a chance to go see import versus domestic one-on-one crime, some of the fastest race cars truly in the world, definitely in the country. Or if you still have some good weather, maybe you're lucky in November to be able to go to the track, make some more hits. I know around here we're starting to get cold weather, rain. So I think winter is here for us. We're gonna have to wait to spring to get those toys out and have some more fun. But that's okay. It gives us time to build them, make sure they're ready to go. So today I didn't really have anything to talk about based on viewer feedback. Keep in mind this is a viewer driven channel. So if there's something you want to talk about, please include it in the comments. If it's something I've gone over and you don't quite understand, that's okay. I will do another video. Won't give away the secrets of the universe, but we'll definitely talk about the theory behind a lot of stuff and hopefully make it to where you understand it better if you don't currently. Anyway, what we're going to talk about today is some of the strange things that I've encountered over the years tuning and some solutions, maybe stuff that you're able to do in whatever ECU platform you're using. Maybe not if you're using something stock based, but at least you'll understand why you're seeing what you're seeing and know that it's not something you're doing. So I'm going to open up Haltech software. We're going to look at the just a base map and kind of see one of the things that has really truly bothered me about flex fuel and what I did to fix it. So let's switch to that right now. So right now we're just looking at fuel injector setup. This is going to be for a flex fuel car. The map I'm using was already in a car, but for what we're doing now, we're just going to look at a couple of the components. So you can see that we have high impedance injector selected, and we're going to get into the problem and what I used to do to solve it versus what I have figured out now. So possibly if you had, let's say, a car on ECM Link or a stock ECU Mitsubishi, uh, Cobb Access Port Subaru, when that software was open, and you're doing your flex fuel tuning, you could have the car completely dialed on pump gas. Your injector latency numbers seem reasonable. Your injector scaling numbers are good. Your VE is good. Everything seems fine. And the second that you put it on ethanol, it didn't matter that you added the 40%, or in the case of some stock ECUs, knock the injector scaling number down 40% to get the wide open and fuel trims to work. Usually we can always get the wide open fuel to match. That's not a problem. But where we run into problems is going to be idle and cruise typically, and we're going to see fluctuations in the trims. We could have them very dialed, very close. And in this case, we're looking at a Haltech, so we have high speed closed loop. You can probably let it go. But in the back of my mind, it always bugs me that, why did my trims go from 2-3% to -10 or +10? And so what I had done originally to solve this problem was I would go under the injector setup, and if I had a problem at wide open throttle, you can see on this side right here, I have ethanol content and I have boost pressure. So sometimes I would have to have this area in cruise, the numbers maybe leaner, richer than the numbers over here. So I might have numbers here, something like this, and interpolate it in so that I can get my fuel trims correct at idle and cruise, but that would affect wide open throttle, so I'd have to add a little bit more. Obviously, I exaggerated it. What's going on in the background in the Haltech wouldn't necessitate that unless I had a fuel pressure problem or something. But for sake of discussion, that was one of my solutions. So once I started doing that, it made sense to do the same thing to the injector latency. And I found that sometimes I might have these numbers. Oops, I went the wrong way. It was supposed to be negative 15. I might have to do something like this to get the trims right. Or maybe I would have to add and then interpolate. As you can see, though, it was all the same regardless of uh, ethanol content in this particular map. Reason is I will use base maps on more than one car. I make the wiring changes I need to, displacement, and start tuning the car. But a lot of my background maps are already set up, so I don't go back and redo them. In this case, we could go in and I could turn this axis off. I don't need it. I could make it injection pressure. I could make it versus manifold pressure. Realistically, I could get by with something like this. I don't have to have it as complicated as it was. So, why is this problem happening? It's actually a very simple answer. And when I show you what I did to solve it, at least in the Haltech, you can't do this in the AM Infinity. I haven't really looked to see if it's an option in the Link G4. I know it's not in any of the stock ECU based stuff, such as ECM Link, Hondata, the open source, Cobb, etc. But as far as standalones go, I know that you can do it in the Haltech. I'm assuming you could do this in an Mtron, Motec, with a little bit of creativity. The problem, the reason this problem exists, rather the cause, is because we have fuel that has different density. So normally it is 737 uh, grams, I believe is what they call that, or kilograms per cubic meter, uh, is what they have it here. So this would be the number that if you opened up a Haltech base map, you would see the 737.2. That's pump fuel, 59 degrees, and 0% ethanol. So what I did, as you can see, and I'm going to zoom in a little bit here, I found the specific gravity charts for, or fuel density, however you want to call it, for gasoline between 22 degrees below 0 Fahrenheit and 122 degrees Fahrenheit, made a column at 0%, and I was able to find the same fuel density for ethanol at 100%. Oddly enough, that information was kind of difficult to find. I found it on a Canadian Department of Transportation website. It was there, I'm assuming, for cold starts, since they have Arctic weather. Don't really know why, but that was the only place I was able to find this data. So now, adding that in to an already existing great flex fuel algorithm that Haltech has, further fine tuned it to where I don't have to have those tables that we saw earlier with the dead time being versus ethanol content and flow rate being versus content. So that's the first thing that I found. And maybe you have a different solution. If so, let's talk about it in the comments. Now let's move on to the next interesting conundrum that I've discovered. So here we have a pretty average ignition map. This one is for 4G63. You can see there's a huge drop off as far as timing numbers. It is because of how I scaled it. It went from 5.8 psi to 17.4, and I'm just letting it interpolate in between. I don't normally have a massive drop like that in columns that were within a couple pounds. But at any rate, if you saw that, that's what's going on. So in this ignition map, one thing that you may have encountered, specifically stock ECUs, Ford and GM do this, is that when you make a sudden acceleration, you will sometimes hear a little bit of knock where the knock sensor cannot react fast enough on a stock computer. I believe GM calls it burst knock. There's a couple other names for it. So you end up with a lag in the manifold pressure reacting and, or the sensor rather, reacting and being able to transmit the data. Kind of a latency or a dead time problem. Not in a fuel injector sense, but just in data bandwidth. It just can't get the information and changes there fast enough. And so we end up with a little bit of high timing, which can cause knock as we're tipping in. So in that particular case, what I have done is I've made up two generic corrections. I have conditions for what it works for. We're just going to look at the table first. So as the throttle changes in percent per second, you can see that I am steadily taking out timing to correct for that latency issue. So if you floor it, and obviously your throttle is not going to go over 100%, but it can do that faster than a second, this particular table is going to pull out 2.5 degrees. Now it stacks with one versus pressure. And if you're in and out of the throttle at higher boost, possibly road racing, in and out on traffic, or you're on a twisty road doing some toge, and sharp throttle changes in and out of boost, you could run into that same situation where the timing could be high because it's in a cell, or thinking it's in a cell that it has moved on from in a few engine cycles as the map pressure, the manifold pressure starts to ramp up. So these two combine and can make an ignition correction, and they stack that you would think, oh man, Aaron, you just pulled out. Let's say you're in and out of the throttle right here. You're somewhere between 4 and 5 degrees at 80 to 100% per second change. This table, you're going to be, let's say, a degree. So all of a sudden it pulled 5 or 6 degrees out. The interesting thing is that as I tested this on the dyno, and I couldn't find a dyno sheet that I knew I was specifically testing this, other than the tables were set up. So, you could look at it and see, oh, hey, he floored it at 2,000 RPM and it made X amount of power. It didn't lower power. So it kind of shows us a couple of things, is that sophisticated knock control systems are awesome, but sometimes we can inadvertently build blind spots into them, or possibly they're just not capable of filtering the noise uh, in a particular RPM band or harmonic, or our skill level. We didn't set it up to look at the right frequencies. A lot of possibilities, right? We're humans, we make mistakes. Math is math, but sometimes what I have found is that knock will exist outside what the math says it should as far as frequencies. So anyway, that's two things that I personally have found that are kind of oddball but easy to fix. Hopefully you found this information helpful. If nothing else, it gave you something to think about, maybe a reason to get off a stock ECU and go to a standalone. That's going to be a subject that we're going to tackle both on my channel and the Ronan Brothers Performance channel. At what point do you go from a stock ECU to a standalone? Is it power based? Is it application based? When is it a good time to do that? So look forward to that one in the coming weeks. I hope everybody's doing good. And if this is something you like and you haven't done so, please subscribe. Hit the bell icon for notifications as new content is added. Send it to your friends if you think it's something that they might like. I appreciate all of your guys' feedback. If there's things you like and you want me to keep doing, please let me know. If there's things that you're like, why is he doing that? Make him stop. Also, let me know. Anyway, guys, take care. We'll talk to you later.